What's up, Inkie peeps? It's Del from Inkie Quill, and today we're making some DIY embellishments, and I'm really trying to focus on using my stamps. I have a large stamp collection. This is only a fraction of it, and I just need to have more motivation. So I felt like by giving myself the focus of stamping embellishments, it would make me use a larger range of them, and I would get a little bit more familiar with my stamp stash. Because I don't know, does anyone else kind of forget the stamps that they own? Because they're an item that I feel like just gets forgotten. I think because I have them on a really high shelf in my craft room, and I don't reach for them, so I'm not familiar with them. So the things that I have picked for today, I'm going through my scraps bag, and I was kind of going for blue, white, neutral kind of colors. I was trying to pick things that I thought would coordinate together, because there's a couple of, if you are feeling a little uneasy about making DIY embellishments, I highly suggest using the same collection. So using a 6x6 paper pad, or cutting into some larger 12x12 pieces of paper, all from the same collection, because you know the colors will coordinate together. If you're feeling a little, adventurous, dig into your scraps. And so I always like to try and have a bit of a color scheme or a direction in plan. So I thought I would experiment with something that I don't think I've done in DIY embellishments before. I might have, and I've forgotten. But I had this strip of acetate. It was, it's old. It's one of my first scrappy, it might be a Studio Calico one. It's one of the first scrappy things that I got, and it was just too pretty. But I really struggle with acetate simply because of the trouble with adhering it down. I find it difficult to obviously not see double-sided tape behind it. And so I thought I'd try stamping on it. The first I tried with two different inks. One of them was a little kind of smudgy, and the other one I moved the stamp, so I do only end up cutting out two of these. And then I tried with a few other things, but in the end I decided to go with the cardstock and the paper. Now this labels stamp set, I have completely forgotten about it, because if I remembered, I'd be using it a lot more. It's an old one from Scraptastic, so it's not available anymore. I'm sorry, but I'm kind of keeping it, like I said, in that blues and neutrals and pinks kind of range. And so I do a couple of different sized labels. Labels are great for layering, because you can use them as a background piece and put smaller bits on top, and then actually use them as a label, or you could also use them as a background and just have larger pieces on top as well. So I do like a good label. So I'm just stamping through, and don't worry, I'm not going to make this whole video all the stamping, because stamping is a fiddly thing. I think that might also be another reason why I don't, not enjoy it, but I don't have a great stamping motivation, because it takes a long time, and I am not a clear stamper. You can see a lot of these have little faults in them, because A, I haven't cleaned my stamp properly, which is my own fault, or B, I haven't pressed it down properly. So off camera, I just went through, I picked out some stamp sets that I thought would have some images and phrases that would be very usable and generic for the style of scrapbooking that I do. And I am going to try some watercolouring. So this is just on a little scrap of basil marshmallow cardstock. And I do realise that I am slightly out of frame here. Sorry about that. I have a new camera set up, because I don't know if I mentioned it in a previous video, or maybe that was the vlog that I recorded the other week, but I have moved my crafty stuff into the spare room, and so I'm still trying to figure out where exactly all my storage is going to be, but it's working out so far. I can't wait to share some videos with you. I started filming a Rascog, kind of like a renovation, not a renovation, a redecoration. No, what's it called when you like yeah, it's a renovation of sorts. I am completely changing them all around. And so I've half filmed that because I've half done them, and that'll be up on Patreon soon. But it's working out so far. So far, so good. I've just got to make sure that I stay in frame because my camera's in a new spot. So here I'm just using the Jane Davenport watercolors. I've been really enjoying them lately. They're very, very saturated, very bright colors. If you like that, they're a good set to have. They were a little pricey, especially here in Australia. I just bought them through her website because much cheaper, much cheaper than buying them from an American company and having them sent over because she is an Aussie. So I'm just going and I'm taking away some, it kind of looks like I've got this in rewind, but I added on the watercolor and I just felt like it was too orangey. So I just used my paintbrush and kind of dried it up a little bit to lift off some of that water and make it a little bit lighter. So I've got these little foxes and I think they're so cute. I basically bought this stamp set just for the foxes. All of the stamp sets that I'm using are a few years old, so I don't think they're available now. I don't think. Maybe that camera one is a Kaisercraft one that might still be floating around, and the flowers. Those flowers are a recent Heidi Swap stamp, but the rest of them, I'm diving into my stash. And I've also got a lot of stamps from kit subscriptions as well. My stash of Citrus Twist stamps is very large and accumulating every month, and so I really try to use them when I can. Here I am doing some ombre-ish type cameras. I haven't, oh by the way, I haven't prepped my cardstock or anything. I am simply just going straight onto that Basil Marshmallow cardstock, but it takes the watercolor really well. If you were to do this on say normal like printer paper, normal text weight paper, you would not get a watercolor finish like this. It would soak it in a little bit more. Same also just with normal white cardstock. So if you don't have the Basil Marshmallow and you'd like to try this, I'd suggest finding like a cheap watercolor paper pad at your local craft shop, because you'll get a similar or even probably a better look than what I've got here. I really love typewriters. This is a bit of a tangent. I really love typewriters, but gosh, I find them hard to scrapbook with. And I have a bit of a stash of scrapbook stickers that are all typewriters. And I don't know why I find it difficult. I think because I'm so used to the florals that when there's something that's a lot more, I guess, bulky and chunky, like a big metal, I know it's not a metal typewriter in real life, it's a paper typewriter, and it's tiny, it's not really chunky, but in my brain I find it hard to embellish with things that I think are really large. Actually, that's really true. I find houses really hard to embellish with as well, but I like things like little hearts and little flowers and little cameras and things. Let me know, is this a theory that I have just discovered about my inner scrapbooking? I swear, if we all looked into our, like, the style that we do, it's just fascinating. Tangent, I'm sorry about that, peeps. I'm in a slight tangenty mood today. So here, I really love the way these ones turned out. I think I'm going to maybe next year sometime do another DIY embellishment video, which is all just phrases and quotes. So not, I would call these layered embellishments, but I think next year I'd love to film one that's just all single phrases, single quotes, so that, like this, I just love the look of the watercolor smooshed over the top of it. These were definitely my favorite, and I kind of wish that I had done more of them. Now you can see here, it might not look like a lot, but my golly, these were a lot of embellishments to get through. So this took me, I did probably make an extra 5 or so off camera. So it probably did take about an hour all up to make these, which actually more than that, probably an hour and 20 minutes. So they are, although they're time-consuming little things. So here I'm just going through, and like I said before, I've got lots of these citrus twist stamps that have the little phrases and little typewritten words, which are my, I fall in love with typewriter font all the time, and I'm just adding a few little phrases to some of the things that I thought were inviting something to be written on, like that little sign that the fox has. And I don't even know if it's meant to be a fox. It is meant to be a fox, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, by the tail. I thought for a moment it might be a cat and I could just be accidentally foxing it, but no, I think it's meant to be a fox. I'm also grabbing some of the October Inkie printables, and they were sitting on my desk after I had created the beautiful red-haired girl, which will be your November art print. One of them, I'm hoping to do a Christmassy art print as well. We'll see how we go. And so they were sitting on my desk, and so I thought I would use those as well. I've also got my little stash of gold hearts and stars. They're never too far. Let me know in the comment section if you had to choose only one embellishment thing that you always reach for. So it could be, for me, mine's definitely my little gold hearts and stars, without a doubt. I struggle to think of a layout that I've done without putting them on there recently. Are you an enamel dotter? Are you a puffy stickerer? Are you a labeler? Let me know what's your must-have go-to embellishment that you seem to put on every paper project that you have. Now, if you're not a scrapbooker, because I know that I have quite a few patrons that follow me for the art journaling kind of style of things, you can also use these in your art journals as well, or even happy mail to send to people. You could stick them on a front of fold a piece of cardstock in half, and bang, you've got yourself a greeting card or a birthday card for someone. They're really quite versatile. It all depends on the icons or the shapes that you choose, and also the colors that you choose. You can really change it to suit whatever type of paper crafting you like to do. I make mine the size that I can also fit them in a 3x4 page protector if I wanted to use them in my project life. So that's my intention when I start making them. But you could also make giant ones if you wanted to do larger cards, or focal images in your art journals as well. So this one, I printed some of the cameras. I think there was also, no, this was the only one. I printed this camera on pink scrapbook paper for something different, and then just used my Uniball Signo Broad, which is my favourite white gel pen, and for something a little different, I don't usually do this, I inked the edges. I just felt like it needed a doodly border, but I didn't have room for a doodly border, so inked edges it was. And then I started to look at these labels, and I'm currently scrapbooking photos from May. You'll see, they've already started. I have filmed quite a few process videos of our little trip, our getaway, so that's why I purposely did this plain, because I thought I finally have a use for some plains in my scrapbooking. We're also, I don't know if I've said this, but we're heading away at the end of the month, and I'm going to take a month off work. Oh, sorry, not a month, goodness, a week off work. Which will be really nice. I'll have all of my videos pre-scheduled before we go away. But Aaron and I are heading down to Melbourne for our 5-year wedding anniversary with the little Mr. Moo. But ironically, we have accidentally planned it so we come home the day before our actual anniversary. So we won't be actually down there then, but we'll be down there celebrating anyway. Let me know in the comments if you're a Melbournian, is Melbourne Victorian. Let's just go with Victorian. If you've got any particular things that you think we should visit or do while we're down there, if there's any amazing stationery shops, book shops, craft shops. We're staying in the CBD and we won't have a car, so we'll be relying on public transport. We want to go to the zoo. We went there last time, and we also want to go to the aquarium. But other than that, hit us up with some ideas of things to do. I want to play with some of these little flowers. Back on track with the video, Adele. Stop. I'm not in holiday mode yet. I'm still recording things. I can't get too excited about the holiday yet. I am. Oh, and for people who have not knowledge of Australian geography, I'm going to a different state. That's where Melbourne is. So it's about, I think it's about a 15 to 17, or maybe a 15-hour car ride. But we're flying because 15 hours in the car with Archie is a no. So then, back on track. Sorry for the tangentness of this video, peeps. I wanted to play with this typewriter and the florals together, and I knew that I would need something quite large to back them onto, so I just used an old Stamping Up punch and put that behind it. And I really do like the mixing the pink and the red. I've said this before, I love pink and red together. It's, I don't know, it just makes me happy, and it also reminds me, I exploded glue everywhere. That's nothing new. I seem to do that in every time I use this glue, but I never learn. Pink and red also remind me of Lady Di. I don't know why, but when I was a little girl, there's an outfit that she wore that's stuck in my head of pink and red. I can't exactly remember what it was, but it was a skirt of some sort with a jacket most likely, and I thought she looked beautiful. And so ever since then, pink and red has been a favourite colour combo of mine. Isn't it funny how we get like just tiny little moments, or just seeing something really small and it just sticks in your head and kind of changes how you feel about something? So it's changed the way I feel about those colours together. It gives it a happy memory. Let me know in the comments. I'm doing a lot of comments things today. Sorry, peeps, but I'm in a very tangenty kind of, not a philosophical mood, but a thinking mood. I'm in a real just reflection thinking mood. Let me know in the comments if you have had a moment in your life where you've seen something, or just a small something that seems so insignificant, but it's stayed with you for years and years and years to come. So now back to the scrapping. I am off camera, apparently, grabbing some little gold hearts and things to stick to this little fox. My intention for these is the larger ones anyway. I might even pre-stick them to some 3x4 pieces of scrapbooking paper from my stash and have them ready to go as filler cards in my project life. I'm not sure if I'll do that for a lot of them, but maybe at least 2 or 3. I think I'll pre-stick them down so that they're ready to go. I really also love the way that this one looked with the contrast between the black and white typewriter and the watercolor. Oh my, I love the way that looks. That one's all done. So I think the important thing when you're doing DIY embellishments is to and I need to take my own advice, really. Sorry, my voice has gone very croaky all of a sudden. But I think the most important thing is to don't underestimate the amount of punches and shapes and things or stamped images that you have, because, I'll come back to that thought in a moment. This annoyed me. So this was meant to say around here, and the R didn't, it doesn't print, it's just a stick. And so it looks like around here, and I didn't like the way that it looked, so I simply stuck something over it, because you can always cover it up, and created it just a little label poking out the side. So if you have a stamped phrase that you don't like the whole thing, stamp the whole thing out, and then you can always work out a way to make it look the way that you want it to look and not the way that it is meant to look. Yes, so back to before I went on a little tangent there about the stamp. I always make too many shapes, punch too many things out. I always have too many things to choose from. So restrict yourself, and even though it's very it looks like it's not going to make many embellishments, but it really does. So try and keep the amount of bits and pieces that you have to jigsaw together to a minimum. You can always add more if you want to, but that's the one thing that I seem to constantly struggle with. And I now have, if I ever do some DIY embellishments and then, you know, I get to the point where I've made 40 of them and I'm kind of done with embellishments for right now, I just stick all the extra bits and pieces in a little clear pencil case, and then I can use them for next time. It might be harder to coordinate them for next time, but they're there and I know that I can grab them if I need to. Here, I really wish that my sewing machine was set up and working at the moment. I have some issues with the bobbin part of it. I don't know, I'm not a sewer. I don't know the technical things, which I really wish I did, but when I stitch, the bottom stitches are very loopy and not firm, and so it's not working properly. And I've played with the tension, I've tried to rethread the bobbin. So if you have any ideas of what that could be, let me know, because I think it would be really cute to in the future make some DIY embellishments that have a stitched little piece to them. My friend had this awesome handheld sewing machine that kind of looked like a small hair straightener, and it sewed, and she seemed to enjoy it. It was a little clunky at times, but if you have had experience with a handheld sewing machine, so just a small, it really does look like a hair straightener, that kind of style, let me know if you've had luck with it, because I really want the look of stitching, but I think my sewing machine has given up on me. I think it has. So now I'm getting to the last little bits now, and I will give you a look over at all of the embellishments all together. And you can see I've still got these cameras, and in all honesty, I wish that I hadn't done the cameras. I really found it hard to use them, and I have actually just left them as they are with these DIY embellishments in my stash, because I don't know how to layer them properly. That little oh my, I just chucked up on some foam, which also makes some DIY embellishments fun if you've got some small foam on hand. Once again, too much glue. But here they all are. There they all are. I really love the way that they turned out. DIY embellishments are something that I always come back to. They're really fun to make, and they're great if you kind of feel like you've lost a bit of mojo. They're a great thing to make you feel more confident and motivated to get into paper crafting again, because the canvas size, I guess you could say, is so small. So if you're feeling a bit flat, if you're feeling like you need a boost in mojo, grab some supplies and see if you can use up some of your stash and see what you can come up with. Alright guys, I will be back in 5 days with another video using some of these, and I'll see you then. Bye!